citizens of the world. In order to fully understand, or even to simply begin to attain a limited understanding of the events that are taking place in the world today, one must dig back to the days before the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, although that may not be far enough, especially when one begins to uncover the ties between the CIA and the Bush family. We are anonymous. And to understand that relationship, one must dig even further back to the cooperation between Prescott Bush and the Nazis, and yet one may find that even that is not enough. Eventually, through continual digging going back through the pages of history, we might end up with the genocide of the indigenous people of North and South America. The Catholic Church's doctrine of discovery, which facilitated their genocide of up to 500 million indigenous people in the Americas, and even then we would just be starting to understand the big picture. What we're dealing with is something that has been going on for over 2,000 years. The ideology, the ties and the beliefs go back that long, to the very foundations of all of the religions and through all of the ages in between. I have been trying to put all of this together, and all of my research and everything I have worked on for the last almost 20 years, but it is simply too much. I will attempt to communicate to you the evidence that I have gathered and the ways that I have put all of the pieces together, leading me to the conclusions that I have come to. I cannot cover each matter on this page in as much detail as it merits at the current time, but there is enough material already on our website to verify and support every single claim that is made. All you have to do is put the pieces together, as I have, and approach things without preconceived notions of intellectual superiority, or what you have been taught is in fact reality. Recently, a couple of the final pieces of the puzzle came together, revealing to me without a doubt that the chief puppet masters responsible for 9/11 and everything that has happened since then are in fact the Rothschilds, the Bush clan, those above them, including the Illuminati and what are called the Black Nobility. The Rothschilds have been easy to connect, which should have set off louder alarms than it did at first, and I connected from files I have received. The Bushes not only from files but from the testimony and from one phrase uttered by Kathy O'Brien in her Culture testimony, and that was that everyone was afraid of George H.W. Bush, who was controlling presidents behind the scenes. I have also come upon lists of Mossad agents and testimony that Mossad demolition teams were extremely involved in taking the World Trade Center down. Time is the avenger, and the more time goes by, the more pieces of the puzzle appear and things grow clearer. However, this clarity is coming at a time when it seems too late to stop them, yet that may not be, but surely is what they want us to think. The following definition of New World Order states that it is the global totalitarianism dream that a banker called Myron Skull Rothschild helped revive in 1760s to protect his private bank from global government regulation. While this is valid, the Rothschilds did not work alone, and although they are blamed and have been taking all of the heat by truthers and some very astute researchers, the Black Nobility, their British Crown and the City of London, part of the Roman Empire, the 13 European royal bloodlines, and finally the Vatican and Rome, are also very involved and are in fact using the Rothschilds as a firewall, if you will. According to the author of one definition, the grand blueprint is best described by a social engineer named Dr. Adam Spartacus Weishaupt, professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt. Weishaupt adopted the term Illuminati. This nightmare is still sought after today, as Weishaupt 2-line below. The blueprint for the NWO is abolition of all ordered governments, abolition of private property, abolition of inheritance, abolition of patriotism, abolition of the family, abolition of religion, a global population of 500 million, creation of a one world government. Myron Skull Rothschild 1828. Allow me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who writes the laws. Even a 4-year-old can understand that people with control of money write the laws. The following is from an excellent analysis of the New World Order by author Ken Adaki, which can be found at educateyourself.org. The term New World Order, NWO, has been used by numerous politicians through the ages, and is a generic term used to refer to a worldwide conspiracy being orchestrated by an extremely powerful and influential group of genetically related individuals, at least at the highest echelons, which include many of the world's wealthiest people, top political leaders, and corporate elite, as well as members of the so-called black nobility of Europe, including the British Crown, whose goal is to create a one-world, fascist, government, stripped of nationalistic and regional boundaries, that is obedient to their agenda. Their intention is to effect complete and total control over every human being on the planet and to dramatically reduce the world's population by 2/3. While the name New World Order is the term most frequently used today to loosely refer to anyone involved in this conspiracy, the study of exactly who makes up this group is a complex and intricate one. In 1992, Dr. John Coleman published Conspirators' Hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. With laudable scholarship and meticulous research, Dr. Coleman identifies the players and carefully details the New World Order agenda of worldwide domination and control. On page 161 of the Conspirators' Hierarchy, Dr. Coleman accurately summarizes the intent and purpose of the Committee of 300 as follows: a one-world government and one-unit monetary system, under permanent non-elected hereditary oligarchists who self-select from among their numbers in the form of a feudal system as it was in the Middle Ages. In this one-world entity, population will be limited by restrictions on the number of children per family, diseases, wars, famines, until 1 billion people who are useful to the ruling class, in areas which will be strictly and clearly defined, remain as the total world population. There will be no middle class, only rulers and the servants. All laws will be uniform under a legal system of world courts practicing the same unified code of laws, backed up by a one-world government police force and a one-world unified military to enforce laws in all former countries where no national boundaries shall exist. The system will be on the basis of a welfare state. Those who are obedient and subservient to the one-world government will be rewarded with the means to live. Those who are rebellious will simply be starved to death or be declared outlaws, thus a target for anyone who wishes to kill them. Privately owned firearms or weapons of any kind will be prohibited. Why the conspiracy is unknown. Springmere's mind control theory. The sheer magnitude and complex web of deceit surrounding the individuals and organizations involved in this conspiracy is mind-boggling, even for the most astute among us. Most people react with disbelief and skepticism towards the topic, unaware that they have been conditioned, brainwashed, to react with skepticism by institutional and media influences. Author and deprogrammer Fritz Springmere, The Top 13 Illuminati Bloodlines, says that most people have built-in slides that short-circuit the mind's critical examination process when it comes to certain sensitive topics. Slides, Springmere report, is a CIA term for a conditioned type of response which dead-ends a person's thinking and terminates debate or examination of the topic at hand. For example, the mention of the word conspiracy often solicits a slight response with many people. Springmere has co-authored 3 books on trauma-based programming which detail how the Illuminati employs highly tuned and extremely sophisticated mind control, MC, training programs that begin the programming process while the intended victim is still within the womb. Mind control is a much greater problem than most people realize. According to Cisco Wheeler, a former Illuminati mind control programmer, there are 10 million people who have been programmed as mind-controlled slaves using trauma-based MC programs with names like Monarch and MKUltra. The newer, non-trauma, electronic means of MC programming that grew out of the Montauk Project may include millions more. Al Bielek, who played a principal role in the development of the Montauk Project, said that there are likely 10 million victims of Montauk-style mind control programming worldwide, the majority located in the USA. He also said that there are covered Montauk programming centers in every major city in the US. What most people believe to be public opinion is in reality carefully crafted and scripted propaganda designed to elicit a desired behavioral response from the public. Public opinion polls are really taken with the intent of gauging the public's acceptance of the New World Order's planned programs. A strong showing in the polls tells them that the programming is taking, while a poor showing tells the NWO manipulators that they have to recast or tweak the programming until the desired response is achieved. While the thrust and content of the propaganda is decided at Tavistock, implementation of the propaganda is executed in the United States by well over 200 think tanks such as the RAND Corporation and the Brookings Institute, which are overseen and directed by the top NWO mind control organization in the United States, the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, in Menlo Park, California. The NWO global conspirators manifest their agenda through the skillful manipulation of human emotions, especially fear. In the past centuries, they have repeatedly utilized a contrivance that NWO researcher and author David Icke has characterized in his latest book, The Biggest Secret, as problem, reaction, and solution. The technique is as follows. NWO strategists create the problem by funding, assembling, and training an opposition group to stimulate turmoil in an established political power, sovereign country, region, continent, etc. that they wish to impinge upon, and thus create opposing factions in a conflict that the NWO themselves maneuvered into existence. In recent decades, so-called opposition groups are usually identified in the media as freedom fighters or liberators. At the same time, the leader of the established political power where the conflict is being orchestrated is demonized and, on cue, referred to as another Hitler. Take your pick: Saddam Hussein, Milosevic, Gaddafi, etc. Their freedom fighters are not infrequently assembled from a local criminal element, that is KLA, drug traffickers. In the spirit of true Machiavellian deceit, the same NWO strategists are equally involved in covertly arming and advising the leader of the established power as well. The NWO always profits from any armed conflict by loaning money, arming, and supplying all parties involved in a war. Their conflict is drawn to the world stage by the controlled media outlets with a barrage of photos and videotape reports of horrific and bloody atrocities suffered by innocent civilians. The cry goes up, something has to be done. And that is the desired reaction. The NWO puppeteers then provide the solution by sending in UN peacekeepers, Bosnia, or a UN coalition force, Gulf War, or NATO bombers, and then ground troops, Kosovo, or the military to search for weapons of mass destruction, which of course are never found. Once installed, the peacekeepers never leave. The idea is to have NWO-controlled ground troops in all major countries or strategic areas where significant resistance to the New World Order takeover is likely to be encountered. Who is the NWO? The corporate portion of the NWO is dominated by international bankers, oil barons and pharmaceutical cartels, as well as other major multinational corporations. The royal family of England, namely Queen Elizabeth II and the House of Windsor, who are, in fact, descendants of the German arm of European royalty, the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family, changed the name to Windsor in 1914, are high-level players in the oligarchy, which controls the upper strata of the NWO. The decision-making nerve centers of this effort are in London, especially the City of London, Basel, Switzerland, and Brussels, NATO headquarters. The United Nations, along with all the agencies working under the UN umbrella, such as the World Health Organization, WHO, are full-time players in this scheme. Similarly, NATO is a military tool of their NWO. The leaders of all major industrial countries like the United States, England, Germany, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, etc. Members of the G7/G8 are active and fully cooperative participants in this conspiracy. In this century, The degree of control exerted by the NWO has advanced to the point that only certain hand-picked individuals, who are groomed and selected, are even eligible to become the Prime Minister or President of countries like England, Germany, or the United States. It didn't matter whether Bill Clinton or Bob Dole won the presidency in 1996, the results would have been the same. Both men are playing on the same team for the same ball club. Anyone who isn't a team player is taken out. That is President Kennedy, Ali Bhutto, Pakistan, and Aldo Moro, Italy. Admiral Borda and William Colby were also killed because they were either unwilling to go along with the conspiracy to destroy America, weren't cooperating in some capacity, or were attempting to expose/thwart the takeover agenda. This is the same for Hugo Chavez and the ongoing demonization of President Vladimir Putin. We will continue to expose the New World Order and their attack on the only man standing up to them, no matter how many judge him, because all these tactics we have now just explained in detail. Time and time again they have gotten away with these ploys, as you fell for the Trump hate, the Trump-Russia possible collusion, the Trump-Putin hate, and now just the Putin haters they have gotten rid of, Trump with a rigged election. Sad you support your own enslavement. We will not. We are a legion, we are free. Expect the awakened to continue. Expect the collective.